This awkward, balding man has an announcement to make, and that is I am starting a 90-day challenge. I played back some of my videos that I've made, and they were very cringy. I appreciate that I made them. It's something's better than nothing, but they were cringy. It's hard for me to make eye contact, and I don't have a good camera, and I haven't been using the best thumbnails. I haven't been utilizing much at all of editing other than my dating video and the one I made 2 years ago about dash cam footage driving in 2023 be like. I really want to work out these kinks and see what shows up. And it's a hell of a challenge for sure. It's going to take a lot of discipline. And I don't know if I'll be able to finish it. Something tells me I will somehow. It's crazy. 90 days. Every single day I'm going to make a video. How am I going to do that? That's crazy. That's crazy. What am I going to talk about every fucking day? And I'm aiming for 10-minute long videos. So that is 900 minutes or 15 hours. 15 hours of content on my channel. That's crazy. In just a few months? It's crazy. But I'm going to do it. And my videos are eventually going to stop being like, stay tuned, I got so much I can say. I'm going to hopefully, ideally, yeah, definitely, for sure. I'm going to for sure get these topics narrowed down and really dive into things. For sure. Totally. You might be wondering, what is Tim? What are you going to make these videos about? You still haven't made an introduction video. I know, I've been trying to make that video. Actually, here, I'm going to fucking do it now. Actually, might as well. I got the script and everything. I just got to pull it up. My channel is about thoughts that I believe can be of some use to others. Thoughts that I hope may guide people to truth, wisdom, and compassion. So I guess it's a spiritual channel. But I'm also going to talk a lot about, humanity as a species, so spiritual stuff. But also I'm going to talk about random thoughts and shit. And also overcoming capitalism and ideally meeting aliens, I think. Who are you? Who am I? That's an extremely difficult question to answer. I'm a 40-year-old named Tim. I'm a former 80s kid who grew up knowing that our potential for growth, compassion, and creativity is limitless. I want to keep that spirit alive. I'm a thinker who sees how stuck humanity has become. I'm a sensitive soul who believes that we aren't meant to harm each other so goddamn always. There's wisdom in our suffering, and global evolution beckons. Damn it. It beckons. We gotta answer the call, man. That's what my channel's about. Helping us answer the call, hopefully. What are my credentials? That's actually not in here, but I'm going to try to include that. My credentials, none. So I'm someone who has committed to the process of awakening, I would say. When I was very young, there was a lot of love in my life and in my heart, and I could just sit for hours being perfectly content with very little. I had this wild imagination. I would just play in the waters of the universe. Cosmic energies coming and going. Sorry. But that all was quickly interrupted when I started going to school. I noticed that I was different, and I was made to feel small and stupid. And I didn't understand a lot of socialization norms. So I began to really pay attention to people. And in school I took a lot of psychology and social psychology classes. And even though I hate reading, I've read a lot of books on those subjects. I've studied and practiced formally Zen Buddhism for many years. I've attended numerous Zen Buddhism workshops as well as shamanistic journeying workshops. I had a period of my life, actually most of my life, where I just really liked movies and paid attention. When you watch enough movies, especially the thoughtful ones, and documentaries and YouTube videos, and read a bunch of books on like the human condition, something just like clicks eventually, hopefully, ideally. But it did for me. And I've also spent a ton of time smoking pot and soaking in the messages of songs, including especially songs that have soul to them. And again, something just clicks with enough exposure, with enough paying attention, with enough wondering and searching. You just eventually realize how little we actually know and how meaningless credentials often are and how unnatural most authority is and how much we project our insecurities and delusions onto the rest of the world, onto each other. How we're all just kind of going with the flow, but not in a natural way, more like just a conformity way. We're constantly looking to each other for validation, for the answers to our problems, for inspiration, for entertainment, rather than looking within, rather than asking the universe or God or the divine within for answers. I have a list of books that I've gotten out and sat in front of me that I'll list off that I've read that have been really helpful. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, Man and His Symbols by Carl Jung, Focusing by Eugene Gendlin, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, The Heart of the Revolution, that's by Noah Levine, An Introduction to Logic by Cohen and Nagel, The Elements of Moral Philosophy by James Rachels, Think on These Things by Jiddu Krishnamurti, Tomorrow's God by Neil Donald Walsh, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, The Awakening of Intelligence by Jiddu Krishnamurti, The Invitation by Oriya Mountain Dreamer, Going to Pieces Without Falling Apart by Mark Epstein, The Best That Money Can't Buy by Jacques Fresco. And I've watched hundreds of hours of YouTube videos and lived my life mindfully while always keeping Zen close to heart. Even when I wasn't an active practitioner, I took a long break. And I'm someone who's always had a fighting spirit. Like no matter how much depression I've experienced and discouragement, and there's been a fuck ton in my life, no matter how many times I wanted to off myself, there's always been a part of me that's just like, no, that's not allowed, that's not gonna happen, you got shit you gotta do, Tim. I made a couple YouTube videos way back in 2008. I used to advocate publicly for a resource-based economy, albeit mostly just online keyboard warrior bullshit. But I learned a lot from that. I started and operated, owned my own business. It was like, had nothing to do with what I'm going to be talking about in these videos, but it was a life experience that I think taught me things that will be applied in the videos. I was married for 12 years. It was a journey full of experiences and lessons learned. And I've always been compensating for feeling like this planet, this society we've built for ourselves is just terrible and destructive and not meeting my needs, not meeting hardly anyone's needs truly when we really break it down. I'm just knowing that for years and years now. Observing and thinking, absorbing. What kind of content can you guys expect? Some ramblings, some silliness, thoughts, perspectives that most of us can relate to, messages that subtly empower and uplift, hopefully, others. Mostly vlogs averaging maybe 6 to 7 minutes. I'm actually going to amend that. I'm going to go for 10 minutes. That's my goal. And some occasional shorts. I also want to add that some ASMR. I've done 2 of those so far. I might keep that up. And the reason I started my channel is because there's a voice within me that needs to be heard. I felt a calling to do this for over a decade. The more I ignore the calling, the more I'm haunted with dread and regret. Conversely, the more I act on this calling, as long as I'm adequately honoring the voice within, the more I feel at peace. I don't like public speaking, making eye contact, or being in the spotlight where I could be harshly judged, but I'm here because it's where I'm meant to be. I did fill out the background experience part. 40 years of suffering, taking things for granted, not having my needs met, learning things the hard way, college dropout who has been compensating since by always being willing to learn. I'm a middle child Libra and have mediator personality type. I believe I have higher than average understanding of how unsustainable our world's socioeconomic systems are. I advocated a resource-based economy for years, mostly arguing with people online. Aside from the content itself, I know how stubborn people can be, and I've learned it's not about forcing people to change their minds about anything. Experience with formal Zen practice, though I'm by no means an authority on the subject. I am not a formal teacher. If I give what one might call spiritual teachings in my videos, exercise discernment. But there are lessons that I've learned, for sure. I think there is some authority in that. Integrity. I'm a truth teller by nature, albeit an extremely discouraged, reluctant one. I'm self-employed in a competitive market. My work depends on the integrity of my work as well as my interactions with others. How often will I post my content? Ideally once a week, but for this 90 days, actually maybe ideally twice a week, but for this 90-day period, it's going to be every single day. That's my goal. What topics will you cover? The economy, how this one is failing and what we can make and what makes up a good one. Spirituality, humanity as a species, society/culture, social psychology, ethics. What inspires or motivates me? Knowing that we can learn from our struggles, the idea of helping humanity heal and grow, wanting the rest of my life to evolve. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Wanting the rest of my life to involve way less suffering and way more peace. Wanting to find new ways to be seen and heard. How do I plan to evolve or grow my channel? I'd like to include animation, cool effects, better camera and lighting. I do struggle with income, so one day it would be nice to have a Patreon page set up. I hate ads, so I don't plan to include them. Though there will be the AdSense, I think, will kick in once I get 1,000 subscribers and 500 hours of views. Sorry. What is a common misconception about your topic or niche? The world is not responsible for our triggers, unless our triggers are harm. So like oppression, then we have the social responsibility, absolutely. Pointing out harm is not the actual harm. Being offended doesn't improve a situation. Doubt is a mirror. It's been proven that the majority of Americans want broad improvements to society, but because we don't think there's as much support, we invalidate the signs and remain silent about our own support. In turn, others see us being silent and think we don't support the changes we actually do, and then it creates like this feedback loop of people not speaking up, and so they don't think that other people feel like they do. And I know most people want change. Like, there's been studies on this, and I see it when I have conversations. It's always like, oh yeah, ideally I totally fully support this stuff, but no one else is going to support it. There's this doubt, and fuck that. We need to unlearn that. What's your favorite part about creating content? I'm still new to it, but the process itself is rewarding. Are there any specific goals or milestones you're working towards? Making this about my channel video is a milestone for me, truly, and also launching the 90-day challenge for sure. Because even though I haven't done hardly any of those 90 days, technically this is my third day in a row of making videos, but I haven't really gotten into it yet. Just the fact that I'm committed to it, I think, is a big milestone, because I feel like I can actually do it. I have a lot of confidence that I'll at least get 60 days. Yeah, that's a big step for me. So I'm going to say the things. Please like and subscribe, and if you liked this video, check out the one titled "You Are Worthless ... then the Rich." It's only 3 minutes long. I'm very direct and to the point in that one, and I think it's super relatable, super poignant, and it's something that's super important that we start acknowledging, in my humble opinion. It's not for everybody. A lot of times when people talk about that kind of subject, it's a touchy subject, inequality, but you don't change minds by drumming up anger and demanding that we all rally for change. You change minds by being authentic, telling your story, sharing your observations, and I think especially if you have something to offer that is helpful. And for the longest time, when I was advocating for a resource-based economy or trying to make YouTube videos in the past, I didn't really have anything to offer because I felt desperate for these changes. And you could really see that. And it's a muddied kind of energy to it that turns people off. I've been really acknowledging that and working on that past few years, actually. And I really feel like I can offer hope and wisdom now. A lot of it is like lessons that I've learned the fucking hard way from not listening to people and being stubborn. Lessons nonetheless. And I've done a fuck ton of inner work where I've worked through limiting beliefs, lots and lots of limiting beliefs and limiting views of the world, and slowly chiseled away at all this stuff that these delusions that we build up with like assumptions about the world and stuff, and false views that pass down generation by generation, or with all the misinformation out there. I've gotten to a point where I've returned to where I was when I was a child, where I was secure, emotionally secure and regulated and grounded in love. And from that, I think I can offer a totally different energy now that is hopeful and inspiring. And it almost doesn't even matter, because I think we're just naturally going to evolve through these really difficult times that we're in. But hopefully I can help assist with that, because that's important to me too, being of service. And with that, I'm going to try not to waste any more of your time, so I'm going to end this video. I hope you have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Take care, guys.